Histopathology of ameloblastoma. Ameloblastoma is the second most common odontogenic tumor of epithelial origin, which means that the epithelial component is proliferating uncontrollably. And this proliferated epithelial component can be arranged in different patterns. And according to the pattern of arrangement, we have 6 types of ameloblastoma. They are follicular, plexiform, acanthomatous, granular, desmoplastic and basal cell type. So how to remember this? There is a mnemonic here. As there are 6 types of ameloblastomas, we have 5 plus ameloblastoma groups described below. As the mnemonic is very much relevant to the topic, it must be easy to remember. So let us look at each one of this topic in detail. The first type is the follicular type, which is the most commonest type of ameloblastoma. Here, the proliferated epithelial component is arranged in the form of nests or islands. These islands are surrounded by ameloblast-like cells. These ameloblast-like cells follow certain criteria called as Vickers-Gorlin criteria. This criteria is an indicative of neoplasm. So here, as the ameloblast-like cells follow this criteria, they show tall columnar cells with reverse polarity of nucleus. If you look at the picture, we can find that these are tall columnar cells with the nucleus facing away from the basement membrane. They are hyperchromatic and palisading in pattern. We can see that the nucleus are dark in color and are arranged in the form of a palisading pattern. And then we can also find subnuclear vacuolization. Here, we also find that inside these follicles, there are stellate reticulum-like cells. So, in follicular ameloblastoma, cystic degeneration is usually not found. If it is found, it is seen inside the epithelial islands. The second most common type of ameloblastoma is the plexiform type. As the name suggests, here the epithelial component is arranged in the form of anastomosing cords. These anastomosing epithelial cords are lined by cuboidal to columnar cells, as you can find in this picture. These epithelial cords contain stellate reticulum-like cells inside. So these epithelial cords are scattered in between the connective tissue. This connective tissue contains blood vessels. Here, the cystic degeneration occurs in the connective tissue. Unlike in the follicular pattern where it occurred inside the epithelial follicles, here cystic degeneration occurs inside the connective tissue. The next type is the acanthomatous type. Here, this is very much similar to the follicular type where we can find follicles of epithelium which are surrounded by ameloblast-like cells, inside which we can find squamous metaplasia. That is, the stellate reticulum-like cells will transform into squamous cells. So this is called as squamous metaplasia. Not only that, we also find central keratinization. So these are the characteristics of acanthomatous type. This is usually confused with squamous cell carcinoma and squamous odontogenic tumor. The next type is the granular type. This is also very much similar to the follicular type. Here also we find follicles which are lined by ameloblast-like cells, inside which the stellate reticulum-like cells will transform into granular cells. What are these granular cells? These are nothing but cells with abundant cytoplasm and coarse eosinophilic appearance. What are these coarse eosinophilic granules? They are nothing but lysosomal aggregates. The next type is the desmoplastic type. As the name suggests, here we find dense collagenous stroma. This dense collagenous stroma is squeezing the epithelial follicles and thus they become epithelial cords now. So these are epithelial cords which are squeezed by the dense collagenous stroma. Due to the squeezing, the ameloblasts become inconspicuous. Not only that, we also find transforming growth factor alpha here. The last type is the basal cell type. This is the rarest type of ameloblastoma. Here we find basaloid cells, which are nothing but primitive epithelial cells. They are arranged in sheaths. Here we do not find stellate reticulum-like cells, and this type of ameloblastoma is usually confused with basal cell carcinoma.